Oh, hush. Okay, so this chapter, like I said, is implementing information security. Okay? I like the comment there. I mean, y'all read Dilbert. Change is good, but you go first. Okay? All right. So let's talk about what this is. The security development life cycles. We want to keep stuff. We want to keep our stuff working, but we have to stay up with the times. And to do all that, they talk about policies. We talked about policies before. We talked about procedures. People. We have some. Right now in the state of Oklahoma, they're proposing the strictest budget cut yet. It's like maybe even up to 25% of our budget is going to be cut this year. Last year we had like a $1.7 million cut. Then another $1.6 million cut on top of the 1.7. Now they want to cut another. So it's like crazy the amount of money they're cutting. Okay? So, all that comes into play when you're talking about information security. I might have told you this, but I was at a conference, not a conference, a training class somewhere, and one of the schools, I forget which school it is now, what they do is they make their budget for the year, then they fund IT first. Whatever IT needs. And then they split the rest up amongst everybody else. That would be the dream come true job, because IT gets whatever you need. But you can see how it could very upset people as well. Why are they getting money and we're not? So we're going to talk about all these things. Software, data, okay? And you need to convert all of this stuff into a plan. So if we're going to implement a new information security policy or plan or system itself, all this has to get involved into it. I just put this example on here, okay? We got a grant a few years back, our National Science Foundation grant. And we have to literally justify everything ahead of time. Like in here, we talked about the scholarships. How much money is going to go for those? How much money is going to be for student services? How much money is going to be for tutoring? How much for benefits? How much for supplies? Then the principal investigator's salary. So they told me way back when, years ago, that 0.7 months of my time would be working toward this grant. So working with IT this is what it's all about. When you're planning, you need to think about everything. I was at a training class up in Redmond, Washington. Y'all know it's Redmond, Washington, don't you? Anybody? It's Microsoft headquarters. I actually went to a class there. I think it was a day-long thing. And the guy came in to speak, and his job was future technologies. But not just future. He's 10 years out. So his job was to, what are we doing 10 years from now? I don't know about you guys. I don't know what we're doing 10 days from now. 10 years from now is tough. But I mean, it can make you think but if you don't think far out, like I said in the very beginning, you go first. Someone's got to be the first guy to do this. Someone's got to try it. Someone's got to implement it and fail and fix it and so on and so forth. But whenever you plan anything, even a grant, they literally had to spend every penny for the next 5 years. Yeah, it was tough. And, because applying for it, the government wanted to know exactly where every penny was expected to go. Now, does that mean we spent all of this? No. But we had a plan to do it. Same way with information security. You've got to have a plan for every penny. We're applying for a new grant literally right now. And we have to figure out, in our proposal, we have to tell them where every single penny is going. Okay, so maybe I'm going to build a new building or a new lab. What's it going to cost to build a new lab 2 years from now? Computer prices change daily, don't they? So you have to make your best guess, and that's what this is all about. We're here to, prove it. Okay? Says the plan must address the leadership. Who's going to manage this? Okay? Materials. Technical, budgetary, how much money is it going to cost to do this? There's always like a project management position. Do you think it's a good idea to have a project manager? Well, you kind of need someone to be in charge of it. I remember years ago, our new health science building? Not the one on the corner where the Fab Lab was, but the flat one that says health services on the front. I don't know if you've ever been in there, but it's the newest building on campus. They were supposed to open in 2008. They didn't open until 2012. That's crazy. They were so far behind Yeah, and part of the reason they were behind was, I don't know if you know anything about how stuff gets done in the real world, especially like in a state like Oklahoma. You ever been to Home Depot on a Friday or Saturday morning? Anybody? Over by the lumber yard? Go over there some Saturday morning. You know what you're going to find? A whole bunch of guys dressed to work standing out there waiting. Because they want people drive up and they're like, all right, I need 3 guys for a roof, jump in the back. Well, that's the way a lot of contractors hire. And that's the way Rose State's contractor was hiring. Oklahoma came out with a new law. Nope, cannot hire undocumented workers. So the contractor came back to Rose State and said, I need more money. Why? Because I can't hire illegal aliens. Well, why were you hiring them to begin with? But that's a normal business practice here. It is. It's total normal in Oklahoma. The guy used to mow my lawn. I mean, it's just a common thing. But all that has to be written into your project. Did he actually propose that? I will be hiring 52 illegal aliens every day. Probably not. But he was fully planning on using them. So all of a sudden you need more money because now I can't pay the guys whatever. Now I got to pay them more. And it's tough. Okay? Planning is a big deal. Supervising, a big deal. You know, I mentioned earlier, but when I had my house built, the inspector came in and found out the living room was wider than basically the rafters weren't big enough to handle the span of the living room. So whoever designed it didn't do it quite correctly, and thank God I had a building inspector. Who knows when my roof would have fallen in the middle of my living room. So someone to supervise this and make sure it actually happens. The wrapping up phase. You know the new LRC over here? Y'all been in it yet? Probably not. It was done a month ago. Everyone see what they're doing today? You know, we had that rain recently. On the far side of it, where they dug it out, made a big old pond. They had drainage, but it didn't drain right. So they're out there today fixing it. They're lowering one area and raising another, trying to make it so it drains. So the wrapping up part, I mean, this building here, you know, what was it? Was it over Christmas they did our floor again? I think it was over Christmas they did our floor again. And, you know, it's just tough. The whole wrapping up. When I had my house built, you know, it's kind of very intimidating, but you literally walk through with the builder and have to look at everything in like 30 minutes. And, you know, you miss a lot. But one thing I noticed was the soap dish in my shower was literally crooked. And so I said that. You know, they wouldn't fix it, but that's the whole wrapping up. You know, they normally call it like, what they call it, punch card. Oh, there's no name for it. That's what we're doing in the LRC right now, fixing those little problems. Bathroom down here don't work. I was just in there. The water fountain, we had a flood a couple of months ago, so there's a lot of things that happen after the fact, and this whole wrapping up stage can be a very long thing. Okay, you must determine your own methodology for doing all this. Okay, they talk about something called the work breakdown structure. Actually, let me show you what one looks like. I didn't put a picture of one here. Now I'm going to have to go edit the darn video. Jeez. Work breakdown structure. Okay. Basically, what's going to happen? They come in many different. I was looking for a different. There's one I wanted to see right there. Come on. You basically put in what you're going to do, and so a perfect thing to think about is construction. Okay, so I'm going to build a house. So what should be delivered first, the concrete or the 2x4s? I mean, probably the concrete to build the frame. Then once you get the flooring in, and then you can start building the 2x4s, and you don't really want the shingles until after the rafters are up. So that's how you build these things. You keep adding the components on there, okay? Like, yeah, whatever this one happens, you know, this is going to take 2 days, and at the end of 2 days, can I make this bigger? View image? Okay, so this here is going to take 2 days. Then at the end of 2 days, this guy's going to start. He's going to take 3 days. And at the end of 3 days, this guy's going to start for 5 days. But this other one can also happen concurrently for 5 days. And as those two end, we're going to come into the level design. And then we're going to go this. And I went through a project management course, and it's pretty detailed. And what's nice about this software, you can go in and move a task. This task was delayed by 5 days, and it literally would shift everything over so everything would happen in the right way. So kind of a really cool feature and very important for tasks like this. Okay, So in the work breakdown, what work has to be accomplished? And that's tough. So say you're making room 131 downstairs. They are finishing remodeling it right now. They just put the ceiling in today. Do you think when they made their work breakdown, when they come up with their plan, they literally should they include everything? Is what I'm asking. Like, say we're gonna work on this room. What are some of the things we need to do? Obviously, say we're painting it. So should we move the stuff out the walls? But is that something we want to list on the report? Like this small room here, do you think you'd list on your workflow diagram, your breakdown structure, remove the clock? Probably not, because it's a very minor task. But me and Roy were laughing downstairs. We had a wall plate on the wall, where the plugs come out. They didn't remove it and paint around, they just painted over the entire thing. So the problem is, now whenever we remove the wall plate to do anything, the paint around is going to crack. And now we're going to have cracked paint around the wall plate, and they literally painted yesterday. So it's tough, but the work to be accomplished, it's really tough on what you include there. I like watching when they're building cruise ships. I don't have a clue how they could possibly build that. And I watched the video, and the London Eye, you all know what the London Eye is, don't you? A big Ferris wheel out by London is supposed to be there just for the year 2000 celebration and go away, but it's still there. But I watched the building of that. They were talking about, they were building the little egg-looking things on it. And half of it was built in Italy, and half of it was built in France. And they actually put it together and it actually fit. I'm like, wow, how did they possibly do that? So, okay. Who's going to be assigned to do what? When's things going to start? When I had my house built, I'll tell you, from Thanksgiving Day until mid-January, nothing happened. It drove me crazy. I was out there almost every day. It's like, what the? Well, so-and-so went on vacation, and then so-and-so went on vacation. Then it was raining, and then it was cold. And then, but start and stop dates, kind of important. The library was supposed to open up December 17th, 2016. You guys is there anyone graduating like this semester and never coming back again? It's supposed to open in July now. So you guys might actually get to see it. But what about when they proposed the project? That was literally over 2 years ago. So I always thought it was funny. They had all these students excited to see it. I'm like, you do realize you'll be gone when it's done, because it's a 2-year school. You're basically here for 2 years. It's going to take more than 2 years to build, so you're not going to see the finished product. But amount of effort required. I showed you on our budget, my effort required for the grant is 0.7 months. I didn't know how they came up with that. I didn't tell them that. Somebody in the grants office came up with it. You think I only spent 0.7 months working on that grant? No, I spent a lot more than that. Okay. Estimated capital and non-capital expenses. How much money is this going to cost? Do you have donations for some of it? The whole soccer thing and the whole athletic program here at Rose State, from what I'm being told, is 100% funded by donations, which is kind of cool, especially when we have no money. We're not getting no raises. We're getting budget cuts, yet we keep expanding our program. I would hope it's coming from donations, or else I'd get upset. I tell you, I was actually in a meeting just the other day. The plan is, where the baseball and softball field is? From there, all the way out to 15th Street is going to be one huge community athletic facility. Kind of a cool idea. Rose State will be able to use it. The community can come in and use it. I don't know what it's going to be. Tennis courts, soccer. I don't know what it's going to be. But that's the plan. So, that's kind of where we're at here. The plan is to do this. How are we going to implement it? Okay? Dependencies about tasks. That's kind of what I mentioned. You really need to put the concrete in before you can put the walls up. You need to put the walls up before you put the roof on. You need to have the rafters in before you can put the shingles on. That kind of stuff. Okay? And then the WBS is broken into smaller steps. They kind of give you an example one here. I'm just not sure I like this one. How long is it going to take to do this? Okay, again, we're applying for a grant, and we have a room that has a beam in it, like a concrete pillar. What's it going to cost to remove that pillar? We had to know that. So our guy contacted the construction company, said, okay, I got a whatever by whatever pillar. What are you charging me to move it? Can you imagine? How would they possibly know the exact cost? So they look at, okay, we've done something similar, and the cost, so that's where these come from. We've built a room before. Here's where the cost is. But they're always off. Okay? All right. Since the project plan is developed, adding detail is not always straight. It's not easy to detail this, especially when we're talking about technology. So I had to tell them exactly what kind of computers we're going to buy in 2 years. What kind of computers are you going to buy in 2 years? What kind of phone? Y'all can buy a phone in probably 2 years from now. Which one are you going to buy? I don't even know what's out yet. I don't even know what's going to cost yet. So that's all what's tough about here. Okay? Financial, priority, time, scheduling, staff. How many people is it going to take? I don't know if you guys notice, but really staffing, you know the whole $15 an hour raise thing people want everywhere? See what's happening to a lot of companies, always on the news. Like a lot of them are going to go to kiosk to order. Panera Bread. Anyone ever use Panera's app? I love it. You can literally go on your computer and say, I would like some food at 2:45. I'll be darned, it's there, 2:45. It's ready when you walk in the door. Me and my wife went over there today to eat, and we've ordered on the web, which worked fine. We've ordered on the app, which worked fine. Today we wanted to try the order at the table. We basically sat down, ordered on our phone, and said, deliver to table 21. Said, we'll be delivered at 11:04. No. We got 11:19. So they were a little behind on that one. So I thank God it wasn't busy when we got here. But more, that stuff's becoming very popular now. You ever never use Taco Bell's app? See, I try all this stuff. Taco Bell, you order it and pay for it. But you always wonder, when are they going to cook it? Well, with Taco Bell's app, when you get to Taco Bell, you push the button, I'm here. And you either say, I'm either in the drive-thru or in the restaurant. And they start cooking it then. So if you're in the restaurant, that's what I did. I said, I'm here in the restaurant. And I'll be darned. The very next order they made was for me. Then I got it. So it's kind of like, okay, your order's processed, it's waiting. Okay, you're here, now we're going to make it. That way it's fresh. Five Guys, same way. You order online, and they don't make your fries until you get there. Because wouldn't it suck if they made you fries and they sat around for 45 minutes? That would be terrible. But what's happening to staffing and people, man, it's really going to kill a lot of these companies. Because if these apps take off, can you imagine McDonald's with no more lines? I mean, no more cash registers. It's going to be nice. Okay, how about training? 600% turnover at McDonald's. What if we get rid of all the cashiers? That's a lot less people, so a lot less people to train. So technology can really influence what we do in here. Okay, a lot of IT is getting easier. I still remember installing TCP/IP in Windows 3.1. I know you guys weren't even born then. It came on disks. It was like 20 floppy disks called Super TCP for Windows. You had to answer like 200 questions just to get internet access. I mean, it was literally, you had to figure out all these settings. Nowadays, it just does it. So it really changes drastically. Think about indoctrination. We're better because, y'all see the United Airlines stuff? Y'all see all the memes out there? Oh, some of those are killing me. The Negan memes. I'm looking for volunteers. Eeny, meeny, miny. Oh, I think that's hilarious. But indoctrination, you hire someone. I actually was downstairs about 2 weeks ago, and I saw a lady in the hallway. I'm like, man, you look awful familiar. I was in a meeting with her like 6 months ago when she worked for a different company. Well, she left that company, went to this new company. So, what would happen if I left Rose State today and went to work for Francis Tuttle? They actually have an opening. Pays more than I get paid here. Now, all of a sudden, I'd have to be like, hey, you know what? Francis Tuttle's awesome. Rose State sucks. So, but that happens a lot. People change jobs all the time. Indoctrination. How about scope? What are your jobs? I'm considered salary, yet I only work a certain number of hours a week. So what do you think happens when I work extra hours? Do I get paid for it? No. But if I was a classified staff, like our secretary downstairs, she's a certain number of hours per week. But when she works overtime, and if she's required to work, then they do pay her the overtime. It's kind of weird. It really depends on how contracts are written and how, and all that needs to come into place when talking about plans. How are you going to do that? literally for this grant we're doing, and even for this summer camp I'm doing this summer, I haven't determined exactly how many, and I actually went through battle yesterday, because I'm having to hire part-time hourly people to help as assistants for the summer camp. I was told I cannot use them for more than 29 hours a week. That's it. No more. No circumstances. So I was working with our HR lady in charge, and she's like, to be safe, we really need to stick with the 29 hours. So this is right when I was getting ready to go home yesterday. I'm like, all right, I understand. That's fine. I have 100 students coming, so I'll have assistants for about the first 5 hours of the day. The last 3 hours, I'll handle all 100 of them all by myself. Not a problem. Then she called me. Wait a minute. So I think we can make an exception. She didn't understand the scope of what we were doing. But once I told her, hey, 3 hours a day, I'm going to be by myself with 100 students. Can you imagine 100, even with 9, or I think I'm going to have 9 assistants. That's still 10 people per assistant. But all of a sudden, when I manage 100 on my own, she was probably thinking, oh my God, the liability suit's coming. I could see Ken got pissed and killed somebody or threw him. She's like, okay, we're going to do a waiver to happen. But scope is a big issue when talking about projects. Okay? Financial, how much money you got? Okay? Can you afford it? I was we're thinking about building a new lab. Wouldn't it be cool if we had a really awesome video display on the wall? Maybe current events, what's happening in the world, just something really techy looking. So I gave him a quote of $10,000. I also got a quote of $130,000. You ever seen like CSI, whatever? That one's $130,000. I checked. So what do? We put it in our wish list, $10,000, but I told the president, we can make this really cool for $130,000. So it really comes up to, what's the value, and the cost benefit. Again, $30,000 to $10,000. I don't know about you guys. I'm assuming $10,000 would be too much for most of you. So I don't know. I'm not going to get the $130,000. I know that. But I had to include it on there. They always say, wish for the stars. You're going to get, this 19-inch monitor here, but hung on a screw. All right, but cost benefits, big deal. How about public versus private organization? So if I'm working for a public organization like Rose State, or if I'm working for a private organization like Devon, which one do you think's got more money? Well, okay, Devon's a bad idea right now. Assume we weren't having an oil crisis in Oklahoma, that Devon would be the place to go. Don't you agree? So it really matters, and that brings up a good point. Obviously, we were awesome with oil, put all our eggs in one basket in Oklahoma, and the basket got dropped, and now we're screwed. Okay? It says to justify an amount budgeted for a security project at each public organization, it must be useful to benchmark expenses of similar. I have to figure out what a graduate of cybersecurity today is going to be paid, which I can do. I can ask some current graduates. I got a lot of students working at Tinker. But happened at 1 o'clock today at Tinker? The current contractor just lost the contract. So if I contact them tomorrow and say, hey, what are y'all paying? They're like, nothing. We don't have a job anymore. It's like, shit, my wife works out there. The reason is they've been there forever, and the government is switching to a new, they're called the Stars 2 rating system. Whatever the hell that is, I don't even know. But Tinker's implementing it this year. And the current contractors didn't even apply to get a number. So they're like, well, we obviously lost the contract, so hopefully the new people pick you all up. But you can see between yesterday and today, there's going to be a very difference of opinion if I call them. Like yesterday, oh yeah, it's great, we got a lot. Now today, well, shit, we ain't got no jobs. We all got fired. You hiring? They'll be asking me. So it's tough. Okay, priority. What comes first? Okay. It says the most important security controls should be scheduled first. So probably a good idea to put locks on the doors before we start using the facility. Maybe we should buy a virus scanner before we start using the computers, that kind of stuff. Okay, that's what they're talking about there. Scheduling considerations. We already talked about that. But time to order, time to deliver. I ordered something from GNC the other day. Free shipping. What do you all think when I say free shipping right now? What do you think of? Amazon Prime. Does anyone use Amazon Prime? 2 days, is that right? Half the time you get it in one. So I ordered some on GNC, free shipping. I wait. A week later, nothing. And finally, a week later, I get it. Okay, it's shipped. Good. Wait. 6 days later, where's this darn thing coming from? It's coming from Kansas. I'm like, I could have walked from Kansas in a week. But the point is, you don't always know. It's not always the same. I don't know how they shipped it here, but it literally went FedEx to the post office. And from my post office to my house took 4 days, which that's bogus. 4 working days, not like including a weekend even. It's like what? But order, receive, install, all that stuff takes time. All that does. Okay? Train the users. Man, when we switched to PeopleSoft, I forget, it was millions of dollars, but it was another $10 million to install it. Can you imagine that? I ordered a safe for downstairs years ago, and it really freaked them out. Because when I order something, I do not have to include shipping. And whenever I order a big safe, guess what it costs to ship a nice safe? Just about so tall. $450 to ship that safe. They about had a heart attack. Because they say, oh yeah, we got plenty of money. I mean, the shipping is basically the cost of the entire safe. They were, did you know that? I never look at shipping because I never have to because it's usually minimal. But delivery, training, time to realize the control's return on investment. How long do you think it's going to take us to get our money back from switching to PeopleSoft? You guys even know. You weren't even here before it. But if we're spending $10 million on an upgrade, and we do that every couple of years, do you guys really pay that much tuition? Y'all realize your tuition don't pay nothing. Hopefully y'all realize that. 3/4 of the money comes from the state. You guys pay this much. The state pays this much every time you enroll in school. So a lot of it comes from taxes. Everyone live in this area, Midwest City, Del City, Choctaw? Everyone ever look at property taxes? You guys probably don't pay property taxes. I pay $450 to Rose State every year. I pay $250 to the Midwest City Library every year. I pay to the Mid-Delville Tech Center every year. It's all built into my property taxes. So that's where all this stuff comes from. So, and you wonder why, tuition's cheap. Well, it's because other monies cover it. Okay? Staffing considerations. I'm probably telling y'all too much there, but grant we were talking about yesterday, the guy coming in working on the grant was like, we need to hire a nationally recognized director for this program. PhD, nationally recognized. I'm like, why? And he's like, we need to implement a research component into the cybersecurity department. I'm like, okay, there's a problem with that. First of all, you guys are here for 2 years. By the time you really get through all your basics and the beginning courses, it's at least an entire year. Do you agree with that? So half your time is gone getting the basics. You finally take an upper level class, and then you graduate. So when are you going to take a research class? There's nowhere to take it. That's really only for 4-year schools. They said, we're going to buy a mini Cray supercomputer. Why? What the hell are we going to do with a Cray? Y'all know what a Cray is. If you don't know what a Cray is, it's a supercomputer. It's like a Google computer. It's not this. It's going to be about as big as the tables in the middle, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be super cool with lights, flashy lights, and it's going to be run really hot and take a lot of power. What are we going to do with that? I says, we're not doing anything they require. Like, oh. Like, you all are not writing this grant for Rose State. You're writing this grant for some other 4-year school that has a research component to it. So, but, this whole, everything they kept saying, I'm like, no, we don't want that. No, we don't want that. I'm like, oh, okay. So they had to change all their plans. But that's what it is. It's changing all this. So, qualified, trained, and available personnel. Available is a big issue. We, right now, with a master's degree, pay $46,000. It's not a lot. But $46,000 is for 30 hours a week for 30 weeks a year. So that basically means you get 22 weeks off every year, plus the spring break, plus the fall break, plus 5 weeks in the winter, and all this other time. And you only work 30 hours a week. So we don't pay a lot, but you don't work a lot either. Okay? Try to find someone in cybersecurity willing to work for $46,000. I get so many calls offering me $80,000, $90,000, $100,000. A guy calls me, offers me $84,000 with a guaranteed $25,000 bonus. I don't know about you, but 84 and 25 is $109,000. A lot more than I'm getting paid here. But so it's tough finding people. That's where we're at now. We have an open cybersecurity instructor position right now, and I can't find anybody to apply for it. It's like crap because we don't pay enough. Because this field is too hot right now. There's too much. Basically, when you guys graduate, I got Joseph Polkar making $96,000 with an associate's degree. That's all he has. Literally, nothing else. Cameron's making $62,000 at Tinker. Well, he was. You knew an hour ago he might not be making that anymore. But, so it's tough. So it says experienced staff is often needed to implement technologies. Wouldn't it be easier bringing someone who knew how to do something than, that's what happens a lot. That $10 million to implement or put it in our PeopleSoft system was to hire these people to come here, literally move here for 6 months to install this system. So that's why we do it. Okay. Procurement considerations. What can you buy? This summer camp I'm doing, the funding source this year specifically says I cannot buy t-shirts. That sucks. So now I'm going to have a summer camp with no t-shirts. But really, procurement is a big issue. You can't spend money on this. You can't spend money on that. You think I can buy alcohol? No. I mean, there's a lot of restrictions on what you got. I can't buy tobacco, obviously. But t-shirts? Seriously? But I guess at some point, somebody in some organization somewhere bought too many damn t-shirts. So the government says no t-shirts. I wanted to go to a conference in Vegas about 4 years ago. Have you all heard about the government trips to Vegas, all the money they waste? I went to my boss, actually it was my boss's boss, and said, I need to go to this convention in Vegas. Oh, no, we don't go to Vegas. Like, not a problem. We got a choice. I can go to Houston for $5,000 for the class, plus travel, plus a week in a hotel. So what's that? Maybe $6,500, $7,000. Or I can go to Vegas for $1,400 total. $7,000, $1,400. My boss says, I think you're going to go spend some time in Vegas. But, it's tough. It's really, you got to justify all this stuff. Why do you need to go to Vegas? Why can't you just go to Houston? Well, that kind of stuff, okay? And look at the bottom bullet. These constraints may limit which technologies can be acquired. Back when Internet Explorer first came out and the 128-bit encryption was offered, I don't know if you all remember that, but originally could not be exported outside the United States. When Notes, Lotus 123 and Notes came out originally, it was not available for export outside the United States. Can you imagine you're an organization selling a product and, oh, wait a minute, you have an office in XYZ country? You can't buy our product. That would suck. Okay? And also think about it now, where does a lot of our stuff come from? Where do you think this remote's from? Probably China. Would you want to be, it probably says it on here somewhere, would you want to be buying our super technology stuff from China? We do, but that's kind of scary. I bet it does say China. Made in, China right there at the top. So the whole procurement thing is tough. Okay. Feasibility. Can we get this whole thing to work? Do you think we could get a Cray computer to work in our cybersecurity lab? What the hell would we want it for to begin with? We could probably get it to work, but it'd be a waste. Okay. It says changes should be transparent to users. So wouldn't it be nice if you guys came back next semester and you still had a computer, you could still log in the same way. If you change too much, people can't figure it out. A student services building or the cafeteria building, by Christmas Day it's supposed to be flattened. Did y'all know that? I was in the meeting, they're like, by the staff dinner, that building better be gone. That's what the president was telling our guy in charge. They're building a new one. So what's gonna happen? Well, y'all know the underground, the coffee shop. Well, they're actually putting it. It's moving here inside the LRC. So they're going to have a bunch of food trucks all over for about a year while they build a new student center. So, but the point is, this stuff's changing all the time, and it's tough. I mean, it's tough on students. It's tough on organizations. It's tough on everybody. Okay. Tinker changed the requirements. Years ago, Tinker required an A+. Then all of a sudden, someone decided to require the Security Plus. You think that's a big change? That's just a different test. But now all of a sudden you have umpteen millions or thousands of people that need to get certified with a new certification, which means they need to get training in the certification. It's just anything you do really affects a lot of people. Okay. So a successful project requires an organization to be able to assimilate proposed changes. Okay. All right. New technologies might bring new policies, so on and so forth. Okay. Training. Obviously, we need to train people to use the new stuff, whatever we're implementing. Okay. Scope. The features, the capabilities, the functions, the quality, all that stuff is part of it. What's this thing going to do? How is it going to work? And, we had the vendor for Canvas. I don't know if you've ever heard of Canvas. It's like D2L. They came out and gave us a demonstration. Wow. It was heaven and earth built into a software application. So I said, you know what? We're going to do a pilot study of that sucker. Wow. It sucked. We had so many issues with it. This last semester, this fall, there was another pilot for Schoolology. Was anyone involved in that pilot interview? I didn't participate this year because I had too much going on, but I know Arlene participated, Terry Byers participated, a bunch of other people on campus participated. Again, it's so much cheaper, we can save so much money, it does all this stuff. 2 months into the pilot, no, it's done, it's gone by, forget it, it sucks that bad. So what happens is you get someone come in, oh man, our project is everything. It does all this for you. It's just so wonderful. Then you actually get it, and half of it doesn't work. That's happened to us twice now, which really sucks. Okay. Project commander requires a unique set of skills. And I tell you, if you have a PMI certification, you can make it $100,000 easy. Because someone managing all this stuff is kind of important. Okay, kind of important. I had a guy come out and quote a roof. My roof got hit by hail the other day. Not real bad. But he can guarantee me he can get the insurance to approve a new roof. But do you think they actually install the roof? No. The company hires subcontractors. The company ain't going to do the roof. They're going to be the project manager over the roofing project. They're going to hire the people to deliver the shingles, hire the people to install the shingles, hire the people to do this. And it's tough. When I had my pool installed, I wanted electricity ran out to my pool house because obviously I needed it for the pump. So Kelly Plumbing out of Hera, I think, came out and quoted. It's like $1,200. No, it's $800. $800. That's what it was. And I said, they're running 2 conduits all the way from my house, all the way out to my pool. They're running, 240 power with 60 amp service. I said $800, good deal. So they did it. Then I get a bill in the mail for $1,200. So I'm like, wait a minute. You quoted me $800. You billed me $1,200. So I called them and complained. That's exactly what they said. So I'm like, what? You get a bill for $1,200? You weren't supposed to see that. Your bill is $2,200. That $1,200 was what they paid to have it done. Then I was supposed to be paying them $2,200. I'm like, oh hell no. So I'll pay the $1,200. I ain't paying you $2,200. So but that's everywhere. Every project. CMI did the work, but did CMI really do the work? CMI here at Rose State hired a guy to come in and install the tile. It's just tough. It's tough. Okay. Supervised implementation. So much stuff got stolen in this building. That we know of, there was at least 3 laptops stolen while this building was being fixed. At least 3. Arlene's vacuum. Literally across the hall in the cabinet, we had a vacuum in there for years. Moved back in this building, the vacuum was gone. We had all this stuff. Our supply cabinet, totally gutted. Every supply was taken out of there. So how much supervision was involved in that, I don't know. But we told them, they would literally, I don't know if you guys were here during the construction, but they would literally unlock the building. Day in, day out, nights, weekends. The contractors come and go as they needed, so every room was unlocked and open, and stuff got stolen left and right. Okay, but supervise, you really need someone in charge of this whole thing. Keep up with everything. Okay, designate a suitable person from information security community of interest to maintain this whole thing. Execute the plan. So a negative feedback loop ensures that project progress is measured. In other words, keep track of what's going on. Okay. They talked about what's happening in your plan. You initiate the plan, then is it happening as you're going along? If not, they talk about the gap analysis. Is hey, we're behind schedule. What can we do to fix it? That's kind of what they're talking about there. The wrap up is usually handled by procedural tasks assigned. Make sure it happened. Complete the documentation. Finish up everything. I suck at documentation. I really covered a lot in programming, but it'd be nice if stuff needs to be documented well. Okay. Certified project management. SANS does it. A lot of people do it, but there's a lot of money to be made in there. Let's see. Well, conversion strategy. Let's talk about this for a minute. But they talk about each one? No. But direct changeover means, okay, today, the 12th of April, we're using X software. Tomorrow, the 13th of April, we're going to Y software. Switch right over. What happens if there's a new problem with the new software? Too late at that point. We've already switched. Okay? I had a company, Chapel Supply, who for years wanted to switch from Sage to Sage is Mass 90. From one accounting software to another, whichever the names were. Mass 90 is the new one. They want to switch from whatever they had to Mass 90. They were talked about it for probably 5 years. Oh, we're going to do it. Finally, one day, the backup failed. And we did backups. We actually did religious backups. But we never tested the full backup. So when we had a failure, we went to restore the full backup. Turns out the full backup never completed successfully, so we lost part of the accounting system. So they were like, what are we going to do? I says, you've been talking about change. Do it today. So they literally did. They literally did a switch changeover right then, and it actually turned out for the better because they probably would have put it off for another 10 years. Phase means, we got our old system. We're going to start bringing the new system online. More and more people are going to start using it, and then we're going to get rid of the old system. Okay. Pilot, kind of like we did with Canvas. We're going to try it out. If it works great, we're going to switch. If not, we don't have to. And then parallel operations. We're going to yield the old, just start running the new, and then switch over. I worked for another company, Sergeant Grip Marine Specialties, sold bumper stickers, T-shirts, even caskets for Marines. We were switching to a program called MOM, Mail Order Manager. It's about a $30,000 program, so it's a decent investment. And when they were writing up the proposal, I said, what about the data from our old system into the new? Oh, no problem, we'll convert it for you. And I knew better. I'm like, can you send me that in writing? So they did. Conversion data included free of charge. Well, what do you think happened when they put the new system online? And they contacted me and said, all right, Ken, go ahead and convert your data. No. What do you mean no? I said, you're going to do it. No, we don't do that stuff. So you need to go back and look at the quote, the guy who quoted it, because it specifically said in there, conversion of data at no cost. They were so pissed. The salesman who sold it didn't get clearance from anybody. He's like, oh yeah, we'll just convert your data, no problem. Can you imagine the conversion? That was a lot of work. It took him weeks to get that data converted. I'm glad I hadn't put that in there. I mean, the guy I work for is like, thank God you put that in there. I said, I've converted data before. It sucks. He's like, man, you saved us so much by making them. But that company had no idea the guy who wrote the proposal put that in there. Oh, and my solar system home. I think you all know I got solar systems, but a guy quoted me a price, which is actually good. They actually went with the price and everything was fine. But right before the installation, I get a call from the owner of the company. It turned out the guy who quoted me was a convicted felon, that using a false name and everything. I'm like, oh crap. But I mean, he did a good job. Luckily, he did fine by us. But what he was doing was when you install a solar system, like I installed mine, I literally did my taxes 2 days ago, and I actually owed the IRS money. And my wife goes, "Didn't we install solar panels last year?" So I got a $26,000 tax break for installing solar panels. So thank God the IRS owes me money now. I was like, thank God my wife remember. I totally forgot about it. But what this guy was doing was people that weren't very up on what's really happening in the market. He was pocketing their solar rebates. I don't know how he was filing it for them, but he was literally getting that $26,000. Okay, I didn't get $26,000, but I got a portion of it. I get like a $30,000 or 30% credit. So really, I got about 10 grand's credit is what I got. Somehow he was collecting that from the customers and pocketing the money. He didn't do it to me, so they fired him on the spot, and then they still installed my system. It's fine, but you never really know. It's scary. So okay, bullseye model. Well, if we look here at this picture, we have applications that run on systems, that run on networks, that run on policies. You really can't have one without the other. A lot of places function without policies, and it's bad. I would say a lot of projects start that way. Then they realize later on they need policies. So it's the thing that changes a lot. Okay. Outsourcing or not. Should we outsource or should we do it ourselves? Okay. I mentioned earlier how I used to have a guy mow my lawn. I paid him. Originally, I would pay him $100 a week? I mean, I got a full acre, and I want it weeded, mowed, edged, everything. Then I was paying $100 a week. I finally got down to where I was paying him a flat rate because I paid him $100 every time he mowed. It was either 75 or 100, whatever it was. But I got tired of paying him every time, so I said, let's make a deal. I'll pay you $1,500 for the entire year. That includes scalping my yard, mowing it the entire season, and scalping at the end. Sounds like a deal. So made this deal, and then the very next year, he scalped my yard and sent me a bill. I'm like, no, dude, that's included. Oh, okay. And then he mowed the yard, not as frequently as he should. Then at the end of the year, he sent me another bill for scalping. I'm like, what part of it? He goes, I don't know where you're getting this deal, but I don't remember this deal. I had it all in writing on my phone. Right here, and he's like, oh. Well, I can't do it for that price. I'm like, oh, it's all right. So I basically fired him at that point. He's never mowed my yard since. But outsourcing is a big deal. So what is the benefits of me outsourcing my lawn mowing? I mean, that dude was good. I mean, he'd get out there with like 6, 8, 10 guys sometimes, it seemed like, and they're done with the entire yard in 20 minutes. What happens to think when I do it? Half the stinking day on Saturday. I got to weed eat, and it's 105 degrees out. Then you got to edge and take 5 breaks in between. I got to mow, and then you got to, it's all, but, I'm saving some money, and I kind of need the exercise anyway. So, but everything comes that way. I used to hire someone to clean my house, kind of like Merry Maids. But what got me was we always had to clean the house before the maid could come to clean the house. That would drive me crazy. I said, no, we got to clean the house. The maid's coming. I'm like, then why the hell do we hire a maid if I'm cleaning the house for the maid to come? You know what I mean? She's like, oh, no, we got to put everything away, make sure everything's neat. So the maid really vacuumed and dusted. I'm like, so I said, no, we're done with this. I don't clean a house so the maid can come in the house. So, but we hired out. We actually have an outsourced police department right now. For a while there, we actually brought one in-house, and turned out it was much more expensive. So usually outsourcing is cheaper. When I was in the military, in the LAN group, the computer group area, I was like 12 people working in the network shop. I was actually on the team to outsource that job. The contractor said he could do it with 4 people. So if we're doing it with 10 to 12, think he could do it with 4? Actually, he can. Let me explain why. We're military. What happens in the military? Oh, you're on this training, you're on this exercise, you're getting deployed, you're going here. So really, did you really have all 10 to 12 people there at all times? No. But when you hire a contractor, I want 24-hour coverage. It's not up to you. It's up to them to supply it so they can do it with all its people And it just works. Like our cleaning people here. We hire them to clean the building. I don't care where the hell they find the people. They just have to find the people. And if they don't have someone show up in here to clean our building tonight, they don't get paid. So you know that cleaning company is out finding people to clean. I mean, we literally have new people in there all the time. But outsourcing is really good, but you really want to outsource IT too much. I used to take care of St. Philip Mary School. Used to take care of the entire Marriott, which is now called the Cox Convention Center. I used to take care of the Ford Center, which is now Chesapeake Arena. I used to take care of all these companies all around town. The Cox Center paid me $500 a month. They did what they could and just called me when they had questions. But once they brought the Chesapeake Arena online, it is Chesapeake Arena now, isn't it? Okay. But I took care of it when they brought the Ford Center online. And I said, I can't do this. It's too much work. There's too much stuff. We're trying to implement too much stuff. They want to implement Ticketmasters and all this other stuff. So I said, you really, really need to get in-house because you can't outsource this anymore. Because you can't, especially when you got too much financial data and important information. You really don't want an outsider having access to it. So I finally talked them into going with an in-house solution so I could quit. But that's what happens in a lot of places. They outsource it because it's cheaper. Okay, governance. How frequently technical systems are updated and approved. I don't know if we can't see it on this machine. It's too new. But I looked at my computer about a month ago. My last update was installed in 2015. Whoa. Is that a problem? What do you think? Yeah, that's a problem. Well, it turns out that wasn't a problem. That's the last time an update was physically done on the machine, but the updates are pushed automatically through the network, and it doesn't keep track. I mean, it keeps track of them, but the Windows Update utility that you see when you click, where's Windows? When you click this Windows Update, where did my mouse go? Right here. Come on. Oh yeah, naturally this one's, well, it's different in the faculty offices. Ours are pushed. But this date here said 2015. So I actually called. I said, what is going on? How come you guys aren't updating my machine? And they proved to me it was done. Well, what we had to do is we had to click on Update History, and we could see that they were being installed. It's just that they weren't being done through this application. They were being done through the network. So, yeah, why does it say none? Never. That can't be right. Huh. So this machine's been in here for at least the entire semester, hasn't it? I don't know. We need to probably, I might need to check on this because it checked today, but where's it checking? So, but, alright. So, it says change control is a big deal. How do you implement, when do you change? There's a brand new phone coming out. Amy, one of the ladies that works downstairs, she got the new iPhone 7 Plus this weekend. My stepdaughter's phone broke this last week, so we were thinking about getting her a phone right now. Should we? We like Apple. Should we get a new iPhone today? What do you think? When's the new one coming out? They say September. So if one's coming out in September, should we wait? I would say yes. Because if you buy one today, you're buying last year's model. So the whole change management is when should we update? When should we change? Okay. Unintended consequences. What happens if we do change something and it breaks something else? Improve quality. Maybe that new router will be so much better and faster and I can do all kinds of new cool stuff. Okay. And yes, I am thinking about changing. I just haven't fully decided yet. So maybe you guys give me some good reasons why I should or shouldn't. Alright, so let's see what else we got in here. Non-technical aspects. This is some are non-technical. Dealing with human interface to technical systems. How do you work with it? Can you log in correctly? Does it work with our smart card system? Does it work with our whatever system? What do we see in all the stores now? The chip readers now? See the stores that haven't implemented them yet? Is this chip not working yet? So you got to swipe your card still? That was required last October. They had them all working. So what happens if they're not working today? Say I go to Walmart today. and the chip reader is not being used. If there's any fraud whatsoever on that card, Walmart eats it 100%. Visa, MasterCard said if you don't implement by October, now there is an exception to that. Gas pumps. Gas pumps have been giving a break on it, I think, until 2020. I don't know why, but I just read about that recently. But any retail store, if you walk in with a card with a chip in it, they should be using the chip reader. Should no longer be scanning. If they use a scanner, they're responsible 100%. So, okay. All right. See what else we got. Unfreezing, moving, refreezing. When should you make changes? What they're talking about here is, okay, we're not making any more updates to Windows XP. Didn't Microsoft do that a while back? And now, I think what I hear today is there will be no more updates available for the iPhone 5. So there's a point where they stop doing it, okay? Okay? And how long do you support that stuff? I'm resistant to change in a lot of... There's some websites I use. One of them switched just recently, and I hate the new one. They came out with the new one like 2 months ago, and I looked at it and said, this sucks. So I kept using the old one. Finally, about 2 weeks ago, they're like, nope, no more old one. Like, that sucks. I don't like this new one. So I'm very resistant in certain areas. Okay? Steps can be taken to make employees more amenable to change. Train them. That's usually the biggest thing. Once people realize, y'all know that there's a Row-State app now? There actually is. They implemented it about 2 weeks ago. It's kind of in beta. It's not been fully, but I guess you all are going to be able to see your schedule. Like I can see it right now. It tells me if I have to teach today. You guys will be able to see it. It'll be able to tell you if you have class today, where to go, and do all this stuff. So, but will people use it? We talked about, the Taco Bell app. None of you are using it, so maybe they're not doing a good job of promoting that. Okay. Okay, develop a culture to support change. Maybe publicize the changes. Okay. Let's see. Basically, reducing resistance from the start. Hey, we're coming up with something. What did they do at Rose State as soon as they started construction? We're making changes. They're going to be so much better. You're going to love it. We're making more changes than a Hollywood actress or something. Isn't that what it says on the side of the building? You're going to love the changes. Trying to get you excited about them, even before we did them. So it's tough. Okay. It says, ideal organizations foster resilience change. We like what we do, okay? But we need to change. You can't stick with old stuff forever. Federal regulations, you need to change there as well. You need to follow the organizations, what the federal government is saying, like PCI compliance. You have to do it, and we're running out of time. Certifications versus accreditations. Okay, so this accreditation authorize IT systems to process, store, and transmit information. Certification means we've evaluated and made sure it's actually worked correctly. Okay, and it meets your requirements. Okay. They talk about the life cycle. I think we've actually looked at this one before. I'm not going to make you analyze this one, but there are some certain NIST documents on there, and they talk about the different levels and how much you do and how you handle change and the risk we did cover the risk management a little bit in here, didn't we? Yeah, this is kind of what this is talking about here. Okay. All right. This is actually gone, and funny story. This book, this is actually the last semester we're using it, because I was working with a publisher. They called me a couple weeks ago. No, about 2 weeks ago. So Ken, how's the materials going? I said, great, but we might be switching books. Well, they don't like to hear that. So our book rep called me Friday and walked me through the new edition and all the changes they made. Well, the new hands-on projects is literally a PDF of a page in the book. It's not a hands-on project. So she came out yesterday. Well, actually, me and Arlene sat down Friday and analyzed this book that y'all are using against the book we're actually switching to. And this book specifically mentions in this marketing material new content on Internet of Things. It's one sentence they added. Literally one sentence. So the book implemented an entire chapter. This book talks about the latest and greatest and most malicious viruses to date. 2009 is the last virus they mentioned. Y'all seen any virus since 2009? You ever heard of ransomware? Crypto locker? So I mentioned all that to her because she actually came out yesterday, and I was telling her all this. She's like, really? So I even showed her. I said, yeah, go to page 92 in your book. What's the latest virus listed? 2009. So you're telling me there hasn't been a virus since 2009. She's like, that's a good point. I says, how about read your marketing materials about Internet of Things? Yeah, we implemented new content. Yeah, go to page 101. Because it's only one sentence. I said, exactly, that's the problem. But NST, ISSI, there's a lot of certifications, accreditation on there, and a lot of that stuff is changing. So some of the stuff they mention here is not really there anymore. Okay? Yeah, I'm not going to go through that whole accreditation process. The ISO standards, and again, they talk about those a lot, but we're not going to cover those. So, all right, that is the end of chapter 10. You all know what the homework assignment is. It's already posted up there. And remember, I will not be here next week, but you all have to do the quiz and the test. Okay? All righty.